Am I the asshole for keeping my roommate up with my coughing? Hi. I'm living in a room with 2 other girls as a college freshman. 3 weeks ago, I developed a small cough. At the time, it seemed like nothing. As a week stretched into 2, I got concerned. Problem is, my dad recently changed jobs, and I don't have healthcare yet. My school clinic won't even see me without it. Now we're at 3 weeks. I plan to go to urgent care tomorrow and pay out of pocket, possibly hundreds of dollars. This is the second time my roommate has gotten mad at me about it. The first was during the first week. She says it keeps her up at night. The first time she said it was a violation of quiet hours. I basically said there was nothing I could do. We fought about it, but whatever. I agreed to do everything she asked, but she was still upset. The second time was tonight. She asked me to take more medicine. I said I was at maximum dose. She said I should be taking NyQuil. I told her I really hate the feeling it gives me. I had taken Dayquil and other stuff anyway. She then told me that it was inconsiderate to keep coughing. I told her I couldn't stop and that if I would I could, since it bothers me more than it does her. She said she didn't feel like I was trying hard enough. But when I asked her what she wanted me to do, she just kept saying I wasn't trying hard enough. She said I never do what she asks, but I have absolutely accommodated every request she's made, moving up quiet hours, changing the direction I'm laying at night, etc. She said I should have gone to the doctor, but when I reminded her I don't have healthcare, she said that wasn't her problem. When I told her I was going to pay out of pocket tomorrow, she said I should have done it sooner and it was inconsiderate to have not done that. She then said that it was clear I wasn't trying hard enough because instead of going immediately to sleep when I lay down, I watch ASMR. I told her that when I fall asleep and what I do in bed is none of her business. She said my coughing was creating a hostile living environment and that it's going to become a problem if this continues, to which I told her she could speak to the RAW if she's having problems. End of conversation. Now I'm laying in bed. I don't really remember when she said this, but she also implied that I was unpopular and disliked by other girls on our floor. Edit. Thanks for the well wishes, guys. So, a few things. I know it's not COVID, because my school does provide free COVID tests and I have gotten a few all negative. I went to urgent care, IDK if this came across in the post, but I did have an appointment at urgent care prior to this argument, and she did know I was going to it the next day, and the PA said maybe bronchitis? She isn't sure, and the test to be certain was very expensive, so she just diagnosed me anyway and gave me some stronger cough suppressant, some antibiotics to avoid a secondary infection, and a steroid shot right in the ass. Hurt like a bitch. She was actually really chill and tried super hard to provide the care that would be best for me given my lack of insurance. Anyway, my insurance should be sorted in a week or 2. My family just got new insurance and for some reason the company doesn't think I'm real. Anyway, thanks for helping me. I'm gonna try and avoid my roommate for now. But if she says anything, I think I'm just gonna tell her that part of having roommates is accepting that other people live in your space and shit doesn't always work out. And that she's lucky she has healthcare. Oh, and if anyone was wondering, third roommate said my coughing doesn't bother her. What is she expecting you to do? Suffocate to death? Not the asshole, but your roomie is a huge one. Not the asshole, tell her to get some compassion and some fucking headphones. Jesus Devante Christ. This is why I've never had a roommate and never will unless I go to prison for some reason. Not the asshole. I hope you feel better soon. If you have a cough, it is actually unhealthy to keep it in, if this is what she suggests. Your roommate sounds horrible. I'm sorry you have to live with that. Wow. Not the asshole, but your roommate is an ultimate one. She's the one creating a hostile living environment. Encourage her to change roommates. Your health situation. It is a disgrace to the US that people can't seek basic health care without insurance. Such a travesty. I hope you get a diagnosis and get better soon. Not the asshole. But bruh, take a COVID test. Not the asshole, but she definitely is. You can't help being sick and not being able to afford horrifically expensive healthcare. Not the asshole, but you need to go get it checked out. Don't panic before a consult though, it may well be something easily treatable. Not the asshole. I can kinda see where she's coming from. If you consistently lose sleep because someone is coughing, you're going to go crazy after a while. However, you can't do anything about it. It's literally 100% outside of your control, and she should be able to see that and empathize with that. Am I the asshole for threatening to leave my job over markers? This needs clarification. I work as an office clerk in a small grocery chain. The store only has 2 full-time clerks, including me. Only one part-time clerk. All of the office clerks, management handle money all day. We are really good at being able to tell just by touch and vision alone when a bill is fake or not. My job leaves me responsible with sending money to the bank. The bank. If I sent a deposit of $1,000 and half ended up being really convincing fake cash, that would be on me. Immediate termination. I checked the company's corporate policy on the requirement of fraudulent bill pens, and their use is left up to the store manager's decision. This is so weird to me, so I've asked many times for us to order counterfeit pens for our cashiers or at least our cash office for over 6 months. With the holidays around the corner and a bunch of new cashiers who have no idea how to tell the difference, I've been extra concerned. Scammers and fake cash are practically guaranteed during that time of year. I brought this up, again, and was met with a stern no and that they are too expensive, and the cashiers lose them, excuse right away. That just doesn't sit right with me, at all. I've been hounding my managers after every shift to ask if we can order some. Always met with a no and stop asking attitude. Last week a different store less than a mile away from ours was hit with around $300 in fraudulent bills. They were able to prevent the purchase because the cashier used the pen on the bills. I thought something like this would make my boss understand, but nope. Still wants to just train the cashiers to be able to touch the difference instead. When I heard that I was so angry. I decided to just order pens myself, a whole expensive $12 for 12 pens. Expensive? Really? I brought in the pens, tested them on a fake bill from a board game, lol, and it worked. Wow. How useful. My boss caught wind of my new purchase and took me to the manager's office as soon as I clocked out of my shift. She basically yelled at me for giving the cashiers coloring markers, and suggested that the office clerks would be wasting time checking all the bills. She also said she would not reimburse me. She went on about insubordination and how I was accusing my fellow cash office clerks of not doing a good job with the cash. After she was done, I just told her I never expected or asked to be reimbursed for the pens. That I didn't really care if she thought I went over her head about something that I find to be a basic good business practice. Left the conversation with, if you really think that providing the company with a tool that helps us not lose money, then I don't think I feel comfortable working here. I just walked out after that, and I've missed 3 calls with voicemails asking me to come back so we can work things out. Buying the pens with my own money was wrong, but am I the asshole for talking to my boss like that over markers? Update in the comments. I don't really know how else to do it. This post is already long, lol. Update number 2. I'm writing a letter to corporate and sending multiple emails to people in the company with details about what's happened. I would walk out, but I desperately need money, so I gave a generous notice. Or until I find another job. Hopefully I find a job tomorrow. F this place. Not the asshole. This isn't really about markers, or how you talk to your boss. If I sent a deposit of $1,000 and half ended up being really convincing fake cash, that would be on me. Immediate termination. It's about your job trying to hold you accountable for something that's entirely outside your control. Not the asshole. I learned early on in my career this little gem. Never allow any situation where you have all of the responsibility and none of the control. You are making perfect sense and your manager is nuts. Track and save every conversation you've had about this in case it blows up. Not the asshole. Employment is at will. You were being thwarted from doing your job and taking the appropriate precautions. If the money was fake, she would have blamed you. You are either responsible or not responsible. Not the asshole. The fuck kind of fuckery is this? NTA. Most companies have an entire loss prevention department. They pay people to make sure policies like the markers are instituted and used correctly every single day. Your manager sounds like an absolute moron. If you decide to go back, you need to insist that the terms of your employment change. The person who takes the money to the bank should never be held responsible because some other employee accepted fake money. Not the asshole. Your boss is stupid beyond measure. On a scale from 0 to 10, he is 11. Not wanting to buy tools to check false banknotes? Strike 1. Not reimbursing you? Strike 2. Giving you a hard time for protecting his business? Strike 3. Please try to get a better job, with less idiocy. Not the asshole. I just looked, it's less than $10 for 5 of these. Back when I worked in a job that took cash, going on 30 years ago, we had to use these. They didn't get lost and we had some real winners working there. Your boss is something else. Look for a new job. Not the asshole. Boss is one. However, I do wonder why a grocery store with 2 full-time and 1 part-time cashiers would need to hire several cashiers for the holidays. I worked at a small grocery store all through high school and there were never any extra people hired. Sure, there will be more food sold during the holidays, but like any other job, some days were just busier than others. Am I the asshole for snitching on people at work? I work as a caregiver. The way our residents call for help is through their pendants they wear, and we receive the calls on pagers. We have a resident that does abuse his pendant and cries wolf a lot, but regardless I always go and answer his page, even if it's nothing. You never know if it truly is an emergency. We'll call him T. A few weeks ago, it was just me and one coworker, well, call her J, working the floor. She has a pager, I have a pager. I get started on the shower list and I told J to answer pages while I did this. As I'm showering a res, my pager is going off. I walkie to J and said, T is paging, can you go check on him? She says sure and I go back to assisting this resident. Another 5 minutes goes by, pager goes off again. It's T. My hands are wet as I'm assisting the other res, so I just assume J is making her way up and just hadn't turned off his pendant yet. Another few min go by and his call is still coming through the pager. I dry my hands off and walkie again. Hey J, did you get to T's page yet? As it's been around 15-ish min now. She says she's getting to it. I finish up with res shower, I dry them off, assist with clothing and then I'm done. At this point it's been 30 minutes now, and T's page is still going. I get on the elevator, I run into J. I ask, did you get to T or do you want me to? She said, no, I'm waiting because he always calls for no reason so I know it's nothing important, he can wait. I was at disbelief with her attitude, got off on his floor and I hear screaming. It's T screaming for help because he fell and couldn't get up. He was on the ground for 30 minutes. After assisting him, telling her that she needs to answer his pages, and everyone's regardless, right away because even if it's nothing, there's times where it's something. Which was that time, he was on the ground 'cause he fell. I stepped outside and called our boss. I told her what Jay said, what happened to T and that I think it was highly inappropriate for how Jay acted about it. Other coworkers later on found out and called me the asshole for snitching on Jay. Jay is mad at me. And other coworkers said I did the right thing. Am I the asshole for calling the boss because someone basically wasn't doing their job? Let a resident just lay on the floor for 30 million because she thought it wasn't a big deal? I hate drama and I hate being a snitch, but something didn't sit right with me with how Jay acted. Edit. Forgot to add, after my report to the boss, we had a meeting about it the next day and how we all need to answer pages right away. Jay told everyone it was me and that we all got talked to because of me snitching. Edit 2. I'm at work right now so I don't have much time to respond to everyone, but thank you so much for the reassurance and kind words. I feel better knowing I did the right thing and I enjoy my job so much. I love these residents as if they were my own family, I'd do anything for them. They are amazing, funny, and some of the coolest old people I've come in contact with. I couldn't ask for a better job, and I'm happy to provide for them as they need. I've grown attached, though I know we shouldn't but I can't help it, to these people who are just wonderful. When stuff happens to them, I get scared and worried for them. I just want them to be comfortable and happy. Less than 3. Not the asshole. Why is this person a caregiver? Who in their right mind leaves a patient without assistance, especially when they repeatedly ask for it, just because it wasn't a big deal to them? I hope they get fired and banned from this field. Not the asshole. People who cry wolf also have heart attacks, strokes, falls, etc. just like everyone else. Your boss needs to know who is not taking their job seriously when doing so puts people's lives at risk. Not the asshole. Working in a care home and reporting a lack of response is very different from snitching on someone playing minesweeper in the office. The lives and well-being of human beings is on the line here. As a pediatric nurse in training, I cannot emphasize enough how dangerous it is to ignore a buzzer. It does not matter how often he rings, someone has to appear. Of course, one would have to talk to the patient that ringing when not needed is not okay. With that said, I hope your coworker gets fired ASAP, as this behavior is inexcusable. And #X200B. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. If a group scolding is the worst thing that happened to Jay, then you may want to consider finding somewhere else to work. That was not an appropriate response for a deliberate violation of company policy and the trust of residents and resident families. Not the asshole. You never know whether resident is just bored, wants something minor that could wait, or something bad happened. She should react it. Yeah, We know, crying wolf is tiring, but her literal job is to take care of these people. Not the asshole. I don't care if he pages every 20 minutes, you check each one. She should count her blessings he wasn't paging for chest pain or something that would have resulted in a medical emergency, his death for her negligence. That's legitimately not snitching. Regardless, working in a home, there's accidents report. People become nurses or CNA because it's quick schooling and it pays well, at some places. They're only there to do the bare minimum. Not the asshole. That's literally abuse, and I won't be surprised if state gets called. Am I the asshole for not moving my legs off a chair to make room for someone? This might sound dumb, but it just happened and I'm overthinking it. I, 22F, am in college, and thought I'd get some work done today in a cafe attached to a class building. The building was pretty much empty when I got there, so I picked these low-cushion chairs near an outlet. The only downside is that there was no table. As a result, I put my feet up on another chair to have somewhere for my laptop to rest. This is a common thing here, especially with these low-cushion chair. As I type this, I see two other people doing it. About an hour into studying, a guy comes over to me and is just standing by the chair. I asked if he needed something, and he told me that she needed the chair my feet were on so he could be near an outlet. I told him I needed the second chair as without it I would have to awkwardly rest my laptop on my scrunched-up knees, and he seemed to get upset. He said he didn't care and needed a chair near an outlet, so since I don't need an outlet I should get up and move. Mind you, my laptop is charging at this point and I certainly need the outlet. I pointed out that there were a bunch of seats open and that I'm sure one of the other outlets were available, but he said he wanted this specific one. I offered to move the chair my feet were on so he could drag over a chair of his own, and he told me I was overcomplicating things and being a bitch. At this point I put my headphones in, didn't respond to him, and after about 30 seconds of him going, "Are you serious?" he left. Am I the asshole for not moving my feet so he could sit next to me? On one hand, I don't know for sure if the other outlet spots were open, but this space is pretty much empty right now and there are a bunch of empty chairs and tables everywhere. At the same time, it still bothers me how he was talking to me, and I don't know if my response of ignoring him was rude of me. The reason I'm posting is because I told one of my friends, male, what happened, and he said the guy was probably just trying to talk to me, hit on me, and that I should have known he was just making an excuse to talk to me. He said I was a jerk for what I did, and I can kind of see his point because he was nice at first. So Reddit, am I the asshole not moving my legs? Edit. This post is not about whether it is okay to put your feet up on a chair. This post is about whether I was an asshole to tell someone I wouldn't move when asked. Edit. People are saying I'm the asshole because he needed an outlet and I was preventing him from using it. I just did a lap of the hall I'm in. No people have come or left tables since the story happened, and I counted 3 open outlets near the same type of chair I was in. I counted an additional 6 not in use closer to other styles of chairs. So it's not an issue of me monopolizing the only outlet. Final edit. I've accepted that people mainly think I am an asshole for having my feet up on a chair, and not specifically for the incident I described. Works for me because I have no moral qualms putting my feet up on a chair when there are plenty available, even if people call me an asshole. Thanks everyone. If there were no other seats, yes, YWB the awe. You say there are lots of empty seats, so guessing some of those empty seats should have some outlets available. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. There were clearly other chairs and outlets. His entitlement is weird. I, as a woman, tend to check these situations with would he have talked to you, treated you in that way if you were a big muscular man. If the answer is no, then he can go jump in the sea. Not the asshole. Why was he so demanding for a chair right next to another person? In my opinion, if I was trying to do work, I would much rather have a seat with no distractions around me. If you enter a room with a bunch of open chairs, don't choose to try and sit in a chair right next to another person unless you know them or are studying with them. You are the asshole. He had the same need of access to a public resource as you did, yet you consumed more of that public resource than you should have. Share the space. Not the asshole. He asked, you answered. The thing about him possibly trying to flirt with you is ridiculous. If that were the case, then good for you. Bullet dodged. He turned sour pretty quick. He's not entitled to your time or attention. I read it more just like he thought he was entitled to the chair and space, though. Alrighty, I'm going against the grain here. I'm thinking not the asshole because, as you've stated, there were other available chairs. Also, you offered a seemingly reasonable option. He called you a bitch and wanted you to move out of your spot, Which seems like he wasn't looking for solutions that could accommodate both your wishes, as there seems to be room for. Edit. Clarification. Not the asshole. Normally, I say it is asshole for you not to give up the chair, but as there were plenty of other seating options available, I don't think the alternates you suggested were unreasonable. As soon as he called you a bitch, you became not the asshole. I be the feeling that this was his spot, and was pissed that someone had the audacity to sit there. I saw this a lot when I was in college. There was a premo spot in the computer science building right near the entrance that people would fight over constantly. Stating it was their spot, they always sit here, and on and on.